The City Council debate on KTAB continues.
Thank you for staying with us. We're going to jump right into place 5 now. There are 3 candidates running for the position, and they are, as they appear on the ballot, incumbent Kyle McAllister, who has served on the council for the past 2 terms. Cynthia Alvarez is a group facilitator, and Corey Clements is an attorney here in Abilene. Candidates, we thank you all 3 for joining us tonight. And here are the questions. Let's get right to them. You'll have 60 seconds to respond to this first one. Kyle McAllister, you are under the spotlight for social media posts deemed racist by some. Have you learned anything from that?
Well, first off, again, Bob, thank you for having us here this evening. And yes, I have learned quite a bit. You know, when these posts were brought to my attention, I did address them. I removed them from my Facebook and have apologized and am truly sorry for any hurt that I caused anyone. What I have learned to be more thoughtful in what I say. I have learned to be more careful in what I say, and I've learned to maybe take a step back and think about what I say. What I've also learned from people is grace and compassion and forgiveness. In fact, a lot of people that were offended by what I said have visited with me, and I've visited with them, and have been the recipient of a lot of grace and a lot of forgiveness, and we've shed some tears over this. But I have learned quite a bit. Yes, sir.
All right, we have, I'd like a follow-up question with you. Your Facebook page, we checked within the last hour, and it has a phrase, "The views expressed here do not reflect the views of anyone else but me. If they offend you, you're too sensitive." How does that play?
I don't even remember putting that there. That has been there probably for 6 or 7 years. I think I probably put that on there when I first started Facebook. I did not realize it was still there. I will take that down.
All right. Well, yes, so you have learned something from this
and I didn't
take.
even know that was there.
Okay.
So yes, sir.
All right. Well, we appreciate that. Cynthia Alvarez, are you running for place 5 because of what Mr. McAllister has said on his social website?
It isn't the only reason, but it is a contributing factor. When you analyze these racist comments that were made by Mr. McAllister, the failed censure, and the way in which the Abilene City Council ripped the voices away from its citizens, you can't help but notice that there is an unequal distribution of power and control, and that within itself is creating a financial crisis, not only for the citizens that live here in Abilene, but also for our community as well.
All right. Cynthia Alvarez, thank you very much. And now, Corey Clements, your response to, are you in this because of what Mr. McAllister had to say?
That is not a factor in why I determined to run. I ran in 2017 for the same reason I run today. I think that I bring a lot to the table by being able to represent my clients every day with the skills that I have as an attorney, and I hope to translate those on the City Council to be able to represent each and every one of you on the City Council. My name is Corey Clements. I'm an attorney here in Abilene, and I've invested in a law firm here starting at the age of 24. I now employ 4 people with salaries, combined salaries over $200,000, not including my own. I know what it's like to run a business here. The nature of my job is very adversarial, meaning we deal in conflict every day. We have to take a lot of hard stances, but we have to do that in a manner that demands respect and decorum. And I think that's what's missing in our national politics in the national level, and with some people here on the local level as well. I believe it's necessary to have the ability to have a disagreement and to shake hands and move on.
All right, Corey, thank you very much. Our next question, what opportunities do you believe Abilene falls short on in becoming and remaining a cutting-edge city? You have 1 minute to answer, and Cynthia Alvarez, we'll begin with you.
It's obvious that Abilene falls short on its diversification of its leadership. Abilene will never become a cutting-edge city as long as it fails to realize the importance surrounding diversity that is that mirrors the diversification or the diversity that exists in its community. So until we get to a point in this city where we diversify our leaders, we will never be a cutting edge city.
Thank you. Corey Clements.
Well, I've been saying it all along. Abilene has all the pieces. We just need a little help putting them all together. I think where we fall short is capitalizing on our geographic location as it relates to the state. With I-20, we fall short in our airline capabilities here, and we fall short in attracting small business, medium-sized business, and retaining young talent. I think those are areas where we fall short, but we have the ability to put everyone together.
Thank you very much. Let's move on to our third question. And oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you kept me on the straight and narrow, Kyle.
Well, thank you. And I do agree that we need to take advantage of the resources we have here, which do include our interstate access, our railroad system, and our airport system. We also need to make sure that we as a city provide to our consumers, to our customers, to the citizens, the technology available to help them with doing business with the city. One of the new things we have is called See Click Fix. It's a new app that folks have that allows them to immediately contact the city with problems, and that's some of the things that from a technologically cutting edge standpoint that we are doing to change in the city.
All right, Mr. McAllister, thank you. Our third question comes from Abilene Chamber of Commerce President and CEO Doug Peters.
The Chamber has a commitment to every corner of our community as it relates to the interest of business. The Chamber and many others believe that downtown is everybody's neighborhood and that our central business district is a barometer that provides an important first impression for visitors and potential investors alike. If elected, what is your view on the importance of the downtown, and what role do you believe a proposed downtown convention hotel plays in ongoing revitalization efforts in our area?
And we'll begin with Corey Clements. You have 60 seconds about downtown and the downtown hotel.
Well, when it comes to the downtown hotel, I believe it could be a good idea. I'm going to go with a very lawyer answer. It depends. The way that the financing has been proposed in this hotel and the way that it's publicly available right now, there's a potential that this deal could really be a huge catalyst for economic development downtown. I think the biggest thing is that we as a council look and make sure that we're making intentional investments with a real availability of paying that return back to the cities of Abilene in spades. We've got to be able to put our money where our mouth is. That hotel could bring jobs into this city, other businesses into this city in the downtown area, indirect jobs through that. We've just got to make these intentional investments and make sure that we're being good stewards of the money. You know, we just can't sit on money and not do anything to bring development. We have to make sure that we are progressing and not regressing in that regard.
Kyle McAllister, you have 60 seconds.
Yes, sir. I am very much in favor of the downtown hotel and the revitalization of our downtown area. In fact, just yesterday, the Chamber of Commerce had a downtown Abilene update that talked about some of the changes. Many local businesses, not national chains, but local businesses stepped forward and said, hey, we are in favor of the downtown hotel. And as we need to remember, the downtown hotel is not the final step, it is the first step. The downtown hotel and our downtown area is the front door to our community. It will allow us to bring in conventions that we have never had before. It will allow us to attract people to the downtown area. That in turn will allow us to build new businesses downtown. We have several already that are in process, and again, the ones that spoke yesterday talked often about how that will kind of bring a new breath of life to our downtown area. So I'm 100% behind the downtown hotel. It will be a great game changer for downtown.
And now Cynthia, and downtown and the downtown hotel.
Okay, the downtown hotel and the downtown is important, but it's not as important as safety and infrastructure. I honestly believe that this downtown hotel could actually fracture our infrastructure and hinder our ability to provide our citizens with services that secure their safety. Our job as city council members is not to make people money. Our jobs as city council member is to provide our citizens with infrastructure and safety. So it is obvious that this council is more interested in lining the pockets of investors than they are putting the needs of their citizens first.
Thank you. Right now, let's check in with Stacy Lopez, who is tracking your reaction on Facebook. Stacy, what do you have for us now?
Hey, Bob, of course, we are still getting a lot of questions from our viewers on Facebook, and we really thank them for sending in those questions. But one thing we know here in Abilene, there is a lot of animal advocates, and we've had a lot of questions about spay and neuter programs. And one question we wanted to ask these candidates are, what are your thoughts on placing a spay and neuter ordinance on the ballot? Bob, back to you.
Thank you, Stacy. And so spay and neutering to appear on a ballot sometime in the future. You have 30 seconds. What do you think?
Well, I didn't get to hear what she was saying. So yes, you know, we have taken some huge steps toward our animal population. We have just approved plans to look at designing a new animal shelter. Obviously, as with any case, if the voters want something to be on the ballot, we will do that, because it's the voters' choice of a spay or neuter ordinance.
All right, thank you. 30 seconds. Cynthia, I'm having trouble with your name.
That's okay.
I apologize.
No worries. It's not the first time.
Spay and neuter, is that an issue? We're getting a lot of Facebook on that.
No, it's definitely an issue, and I'm glad that the City Council actually stepped up and is going to be providing a shelter that is going to be appealing to those who not only want to adopt an animal, but just for the city in general. So. Yeah, I'm glad the city stepped up. I'm glad the taxpayers actually put them in a position to where now they have to utilize those monies to go back into our infrastructure, to go back into the needs of the citizens. And so that's what it takes. It's going to take people that have issues and have enough guts to go up to the City Council and ask for what they want.
All right, Corey Clements, 30 seconds on spay and neutering.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question at all. So spay and neutering, but
spay and neutering,
yes.
And should it be on a ballot presented to Abilene voters that the city would have an ordinance regarding that?
Certainly. When it's a situation like that, I think that's the time that you want that to be on a ballot for the voters. It's not something that's mandatory in the city. It's not the streets. It's not fire. It's not police. So it's something that the voters should have a say in. But while we're on the topic of animal shelter, you know, I think another thing that the voters probably want to say in is making sure that the city employees that we have are held accountable just like any employee is, and that we're not paying somebody to run an animal shelter if they're not actually there running the animal shelter. And so I think that's an important thing for the voters as well. And that's something that they depend on us to take care of and not want to be voting on that.
Very good. Workforce, and specifically the availability of skilled workers, challenge for communities across the United States and Texas, and Abilene is not immune from that, of course. If elected to the council, what role do you believe the city plays in helping to shape a world-class workforce? You have 60 seconds. We begin with Kyle McAllister.
Well, the role that the City Council has played is to make sure that businesses in Abilene are able to flourish, which means that they are able to either expand or relocate to Abilene, and that allows for an increased workforce population. We do have 3 colleges here in town, 3 universities, but we also have more of trade-based type schools, and with TSTC and Cisco College. And within the past couple of years, the city took the step, and we voted to allow in TSTC to locate one of their regional campuses here in Abilene. Building 1 is up by the airport now, and there will be more buildings. And that type of a technical skill trade college is exactly what our city needs and what our country needs. And so that will allow us to, students, because college isn't for everyone, and that will allow students to go into a skilled trade school and then graduate with the tools they need and the skills they need for those skilled jobs.
Thank you, Mr. McAllister. And Cynthia Alvadiris.
It's Alvidrez.
Alvidrez. I blow.
No, you're fine.
I'm
You're
sorry.
fine. I just had a correction. In order to begin shaping a world-class workforce, our city leaders must be able to provide their citizens with a healthy environment that encourages growth. A commitment to a zero-tolerance policy for shady/shadowy deals is a must. And in reference to those shady deals, this hotel does not provide an ounce of transparency, nor does it allow Abilene citizens a fair chance to participate. The motivations are hidden, the pro formas are hidden, the market studies are hidden, and I think that as taxpayers we should be allowed to view that information. And so if you want to create an environment where we can grow a world-class workforce, these shady deals need to cease to exist.
And now 60 seconds, Corey Clements.
All right, thank you. Well, the workforce is strong when business, and small business specifically, is strong here locally. My opponent was confused about what I mean when I say get the city out of the way of business, and it seems like Mr. McAllister is a little confused as well about business flourishing here in Abilene. The city is absolutely in the way. So I brought an example tonight. I have a friend moving her law firm, and you know, just to get her law firm into another building, she's had to hire 2 engineers for a site plan. Mind you, this is a home where someone lived. This isn't a dilapidated building. It's on Buffalo Gap Road. 2 engineers, almost $10,000 in site plans. She has to plant 24 one-gallon plants before she can open business. 52 foot of fencing behind her property before she can open. She needs an $18,000 on the low end parking lot before she can open. She was told she needed a 10-foot sidewalk for the 160 bicyclists who ride their bikes to work here in Abilene at a cost of $30,000, all before she can open her doors, pay her taxes off the money she makes.
Thank you, Mr. Clements. So now, what should the city of Abilene be doing about the homeless population in town? Recently, the city announced that housing has been provided for all the homeless veterans. What should we do, if anything, about the other homeless people on our streets? And let's begin with Cynthia Alvidrez.
First of all, I just want to address the comment that Corey made. No one's confused as to what he was saying. And what you do need to know is he's obviously confused on the single member districts and how at-large districts works. And so in order to begin eradicating homelessness, you might want to listen, Corey, you have to analyze the systematic oppression that exists in our society. And you have to realize that the reason that the contribution to these reasons as to why they have found themselves into the situations that foster homelessness. So when you're talking about at-large districts, when you're talking about single-member districts, you cannot deny the fact that there is systematic oppression there.
And now Corey Clements on homelessness in Abilene.
Sure. We now need to focus on the rest of the homeless population, and I believe that that is the job of the private sector. And I think what the city does well and what the city can continue to do is work with nonprofits like Work Again Texas, which has their opening debut April 30th, to help get homeless people back to work and give them an opportunity to be trained. Again, we need to work with groups like Hope Haven, whose funding helps to partner with businesses such as Abimar, who helps to employ and train those who are struggling with homelessness.
Thank you very much. And Kyle McAllister.
And I agree, you know, as you know, different homeless populations have different needs, and as we address one and then we move to the other, we need to look at the different needs of those populations. As far as, you know, one of the things that we as the city has done when we recently looked at the new CityLink routes is that we made sure that the bus routes were available to help people get to jobs. Well, if people have a good way to get to a job, that can help with their income and help them, if they're in a homeless situation, to maybe find a place to live. And so it is partnering with local nonprofit organizations to make sure that people have resources to help them you know, get out of the homelessness cycle.
And we have another 30-second response to this question, please. Would you ever be willing to be a single losing vote on the City Council, where all the members of the council voted one way and you voted the other, and what that issue might be? We begin with Corey Clements.
Yeah, I believe that politicians make promises they can't keep all the time, because the fact of the matter is you don't know what you don't know until you get into that role. What I will promise and what I can promise is that I'll bring the skills that I use representing my clients every day to represent each of you and what I think is right when it comes to City Council. I've never had any problem standing up for what I believe in, and even if that means standing alone.
Kyle McAllister.
And I have been the lone dissenter, if you will, on more than one occasion. A vaping issue that we had back in 2014, I believe, and then most recently when we were talking about allowing alcohol in some city parks, I believe there were two of us. And so, no, I don't have a problem at all of being a lone losing vote, if you will, because my responsibility is to the citizens of Abilene. And when the people of Abilene tell me what they want, that's what we do. But the good thing about the city council that we have is that we are going to move together forward.
And time's up, so let's go to Cynthia Alvidrez. Would you stand alone?
If elected, I probably will. And I want you guys to look at Kyle's voting record in reference to City Council. When you look at these votes and these rises in taxes, it's a yes all the time, yes all the time. And when you look at our City Council members, it's just this: you got a little bobblehead sitting on the City Council, and so that's got to change. As far as Corey, it's obvious that he's just going to ride the fence the whole entire way. So my confidence in these opponents right here is very low. They're not going to stand up for you. They're not going to stand up for what is right. They haven't done it, and they won't do it in the future.
We are beginning to run out of time, so each of you will have 45 seconds, and please respond or speak to the other candidates that are with you here tonight. Okay, and say anything you want that the FCC will allow. Okay, let's begin with Kyle McAllister.
Okay. I want to visit with something that Corey talked about. The friend of his with the business. You know, site plans are designed to make sure that when businesses go in, they fit the neighborhood. So if you have a property on Buffalo Gap Road, that in more than likely, and I don't know the exact property, abuts to a neighborhood district. Okay, and so site plans are designed to make sure that people that are already there have certain protections: protection from light, protection from noise, protection from air, light pollution, and things like that. You mentioned a parking lot. The reason parking lot standards are there is because if you just put in any parking lot and there was a fire or an emergency and you had to get a fire truck in there and it was a substandard parking lot and the fire truck sinks or can't get to it, that puts people in danger. And so site plans and things like that are very important when it comes to relocating businesses of any kind.
45 seconds, Cynthia Alvidrez.
What I want everyone to realize is when you have individuals who fail to stand up for certain communities because of the way that it's going to impact them, that is going to carry over when they sit on the city council. And so you as a voter, as a taxpayer, you need to take that into consideration. Your voices were taken away by city council members that are already on there. You don't have individuals up here, except for me, that are going to stand up for you whenever those controversial issues pop up. And this manipulation that keeps being thrown out by Corey, and then the manipulation that's being thrown out by the city council, it needs to cease to exist, because we're not going to grow as a community if this continues to happen. And we're going to continue to deal with oppression, to deal with poverty, to deal with these suicide rates. So take that into consideration when you're at the voting booth.
And our final word tonight will be from Corey Clements.
Well, the only manipulation that's happening in this conversation is Ms. Alvidrez's insistence that I'm somehow not standing up for people. I stand up for people in my job every day in a way that I'm certain that several people can't do. The city also, you know, when Mr. McAllister talks about the city allows businesses to flourish, what's the problem with allowing them a couple years to plant these red tip fontinas and to get their fence put up in the backyard? Let them make the money where they can bring in the income to pay the taxes that business is going to generate, and stair-step those regulations that really are cosmetic and they don't really affect anybody. So that's all I have there.
All right, we have 20 seconds left for each of you to wrap things up, and Kyle, we'll start again with you.
Well, I again appreciate the opportunity to be here. As I mentioned, it's been my honor and privilege to serve the citizens of Abilene for the past 6 years. This is a serious job. Abilene is a big city. I know we think it's small, but it's the 28th largest city in Texas, and being on the city council is a serious job, serious commitment, and I am dedicated to that. I am available for folks to come and visit with me about, and I look forward to your vote on the 22nd and then again on May 4th.
Cynthia Alvidra's final word.
Thank you. Abilene has done great things in regards to economic development, and currently it seems to be working effectively for some. What I would like to see is that it benefits everyone in our community, not just a certain particular group that has the money to invest and has city council members that are backing those investments and using taxpayer dollars to do that. So what you need to consider when you go up to that voting booth is that diversity brings dollars, and if you want dollars in this community, you've got to diversify your leadership.
Corey Clemens, you will have the final word now. 20 seconds.
Thanks, Bob. You know, my goal tonight is to earn your vote when early voting starts next Monday. I think that what I bring to the table is an ability to really listen to the issues, understand difficult